Serious? What secret could ruin your life? I am in serious debt because of a drug addiction I used to have, of which my family didn't know I had. I'm almost 2 years clean now, but I can hardly pay any bills I have, and I'm afraid to ask any family member for money because I know I can't pay them back in the near future. I'm in the same boat. I have no idea how I used to afford my addiction. I'm only 2 months clean, but can't catch up. Keep up the good work. Being sober is still better than addiction. I'm proud of you. My whole professional life is built on a lie, and it's about ready to come down. When I was 22, I was in a bad way, halfway through my bachelor's degree, but with a building addiction to opiates and some mental health issues. Summer of that year I was in a bad car accident. In addition to broken bones throughout my body, my head went through the window and my face received severe lacerations that required hundreds of stitches to close and left me looking very rough. As tough as that was to deal with, I also now know that I sustained a traumatic brain injury that left me very confused, angry, and overwhelmed by life in general. I wanted to keep up appearances, so after taking 3 months off to recover, I tried to go back to school. Within the first week I knew I couldn't handle it. Too many questions about what happened, too much anxiety, and I had lost pretty much all my coping skills. When I got overwhelmed, which happened often, I would feel sick and scared and literally forget where I was and what I was doing. It was frightening and embarrassing, especially for someone like me who had always had high expectations placed on my shoulders by those around me. I had lost pretty much all my friends at this point, and in my mental state, I thought that those who remained would abandon me if they knew how much I was struggling. So, I told everyone that it was going great. Every day I would leave the house for 6 hours and drive. Sometimes I would stop in a parking lot. Sometimes I would just keep driving all day. I would find cheap used textbooks at college bookstores so that I could bring them home and study. I created elaborate lies about my classes and my professors in order to have stories to tell when people asked how it was going. I kept telling myself that I was just doing this until my brain worked again, and that next quarter I would go back for real when I could actually handle it. Problem is, things just kept getting worse, and as time went on I became less able to get back on track. This went on for 2.5 years, until I was supposed to be graduating. So, I lied about that too. I forged transcripts and came up with stories of why I didn't want to work in the field of my degree and hoped to move past it. I got a labor job and slowly found things working themselves out as my brain chemistry improved, and steady work kept me from completely destroying myself. Eventually I had to move. For the first time in over a decade, I was finally free of my opiate addiction and starting to feel part of the world again. But I was still carrying the lie of my college degree. I volunteered in some places related to that field and they really liked me. They liked me so much, in fact, that they hired me on an emergency basis. No transcripts required, and I've worked there ever since. Now, 3 years into my sobriety and seemingly a lifetime removed from the pain of those years, they want to promote me to a career level job that I would absolutely love. I'm so good at what I do and it brings me so much joy, but this promotion would come with scrutiny and background checks that I know I can't stand up to. When I was so depressed, I honestly didn't think I'd even live this long. So while I knew that my lies could create this situation, I never prepared for it. Worse than losing this job would be having everyone around me find out what happened. So I am at a point now where I have to quit what I love, because they like me too much. I plan to go back to school for real and I think I'll do well, but the shame and regret of this situation is something I don't think I'll ever shake. I would get some legal advice, to be honest. Is cheaper than quitting. If you stated it on your CV application that you had a degree, you're exposed legally, and a charge might stick and prevent future employment, as they can take action against you if they find out you falsely stated to have a qualification. But if they never asked, and you never told, get started on finishing your degree while you work this job. Tell them you're partway through. With or without promption, you'll have it when you're ready to apply for the next one. Source: I've never lied about having a degree, but I'm 39 and still completing my bachelor's, so I can make peace with it. I get paid a 6-figure salary for a standard 40-hour-a-week corporate job for a massive well-known company. In a given week I do maybe an hour of actual work. The rest of the time I am on Reddit or YouTube slacking off. I thought when I got this job that eventually someone would figure out I don't do anything all day, but here I am 14 years later still doing frick all and getting paid a lot for it. I've been in a strictly exil relationship with a first cousin for the last 5 years. We only ever saw each other once or twice a year growing up before she moved to the other side of the country and then never really saw or interacted with each other again until 5 years ago when she moved back. What started as us meeting up once in a while has become a regular thing in the last few months. It's escalated to the point where we're now texting each other. I'm scared to death of what might happen if anyone in our family finds out. But I don't want to stop what's happening either. Here's the story. It all started out very slow before it escalated into full-on X. I was informed by another cousin of ours and asked to help her move since I was free at the time. We started hanging out throughout that summer and then one afternoon we had brunch and then went back to chill at her apartment. It was a super hot day so we thought let's just go indoors and relax and watch some TV or a movie. I can't remember what we were watching. But we were chatting the whole time too, just talking about our relatives and what we were looking to do with our lives and careers. After a while she kind of just leaned on me and got comfortable and I threw my arm around her, almost instinctively, and were just hanging out like that for a bit. Eventually she gave me a lingering look that was kind of asking what's happening here, and we both went in for a kiss. We were both shocked that it happened. But we got over it fast and started making out and running our hands all over each other until my hand was up her skirt touching her through her panties and then I realized what we were doing and stopped it from going any further. We both came to our senses and stopped before anything went any further. We decided to forget it happened and move past it. But every time we met up after that we'd make out and push our boundaries until we eventually ended up having sex. Afterwards, we were meeting up regularly until we both got really busy with work and only met up on occasion. We completely stopped when each of us had a significant other, but would start hooking up again every so often when we are single. As mentioned before, now it's become a regular occurrence where we hook up multiple times a week and we've been texting with each other now. As I wrote in the other cousin guy's post, this is not as rare as you imagine. I always thought that, not op. Since you weren't raised with them there's nothing mental stopping you from being attracted to them aside from the judgment of society, and you still see them fairly often so it must happen a lot, right? I was debating posting until I saw Thebagestthro's post. Very similar only it was me and my older brother. Not worried about a throwaway as this is my Frickit account anyways. Long story short I was maybe 9 or 10, him 14 I believe. He'd trick me into play wrestling then end up on top, then promise me my favorite snack if I take it just right. This only went on for 2 years. That's the gist of it. This may sound stupid, but I never thought much of it until recently. I'm 29. Since it was the only time he did anything remotely homosexual, at least to me. This is literally my first time sharing this with anyone ever. I'm not as shaken up about it as I probably should be, considering the certain pain addiction it led to and my virginity to this day. It's okay to not feel shaken up about it. When I was 13 I was raped by 3 guys a little older than me in a field. I'm a girl if that even matters. I honestly hadn't even talked about it with anyone until I was 18 heading to rehab and the woman doing my intake asked if I had any trauma. At first I said no and then said wait this happened, does that count? She seemed shocked by how unfazed I was. I thought there was something wrong with me, because I talk about it, as if it was nothing. Trauma affects everyone differently. I have subconscious issues with sex and intimacy from it, but on a conscious level it barely makes me feel anything. You're allowed to feel however you feel about it. Don't let anyone, including yourself, invalidate your story or your feelings towards it. Feel free to PM me too if you ever want. I'm always open to listening or sharing. Thank you for saying this. I went through a similarly traumatic experience when I was a kid and I actually forgot about it for a long time. It affected my development in a lot of ways that I wish it really hadn't, but I don't have issues with men or sex at all. So, don't really know how to start this off, but I'm attracted to beds. It started somewhere during my early high school years, when I was really starting to discover myself. There was something about beds, the fact that when you go to sleep at night, you're always with them. Their purpose is to make you feel comfortable at night, when you're at your most vulnerable. Anyway, I modified my twin bed towards the end of high school, essentially tearing the fabric, shoving some pillows in the side, and make a little hole that I could insert myself into. I've always known that the behavior is odd, but I can't help myself. Nowadays, I live with my girlfriend. I don't have that twin bed anymore, but anytime we have sex, it has to be on a bed. If it's not, I can't get hard. Needless to say, if this got out, it'd truly frick me over. Well, that's a new one. Horses for courses, dude, and by all accounts that's a pretty innocuous fetish. I shouldn't worry about it too much. This is a pretty innocent fetish, man. Don't worry too much about this one. Do you know of a story like this? Leave it in the comments below. If you're new here, subscribe for more. We post the best Reddit videos daily. Thanks for watching.